Class 7 English, Gopal and the Hilsa Fish, a comic strip. Good morning, children. We have been doing a lot of lessons. We have been reading a lot. Today we are going to enjoy a comic strip. A comic strip of a man called Gopal and how he bought a Hilsa fish. Now, children, a comic strip. Comic is a story which is told in the form of pictures. There are bubbles which will show the speeches of the characters in the story. So please listen to the story and look at the comic strip very carefully. The name of the comic story is Gopal and the Hilsa Fish. It was the season for Hilsa fish. Fishermen could think of nothing but Hilsa fish. Here you have the picture of fishermen catching fish. They're using a boat and fishing net, and you can see the fishes here. Fishmongers sold nothing but Hilsa fish. That means because it was a season for the Hilsa fish, they were selling only Hilsa fish. There are other fishes that they could sell, roe, mriga, carps of different kinds, and there's a koi fish, there's a lata fish, but they were not selling any of these fish. They were selling only Hilsa fish. Come, buy. The price of Hilsa is down today. So this is what they are shouting. They are asking the people to come and buy the Hilsa fish because the price is down. And the householders could talk up nothing but Hilsa fish. In their families, everyone is talking about Hilsa fish. Look at the woman saying, "How much did you pay for that Hilsa?" And the man says, "You wouldn't believe if I told you." That means he got it very cheap. He is taking pride that he was able to get it very cheap. Now, what about a scene in the palace? And in the palace too, the courtiers discussed nothing but Hilsa fish. This is very strange. Hilsa fish is such a common and ordinary topic to be discussed in a court. In the court, they have to discuss some important matters, some important issues of the state. But they are talking about Hilsa fish. "Your Majesty," this is how you address the king. "Your Majesty, you should have seen the huge Hilsa fish I caught. It was..." See. So the courtiers also, they were catching fish and they were telling about it to the king. Now, do you think the king will like it? No, the king will not like it. So the king said, "Stop it!" He was very angry when the courtiers came to the court and started talking to him about the Hilsa fish. "Are you a courtier or a fisherman?" So the king said, this is not expected of a courtier to speak in the court, in the office. So he said, "Are you a courtier or a fisherman?" Then the courtier fell silent with downcast eyes. The king felt guilty. So when the king realized that he had shouted to the courtiers, he felt bad. He felt sorry. He felt sorry because the courtiers were silent. They were so excited. They were talking about so exciting, in a very excited manner about a fish that has been caught. And now their eyes were downcast and the king felt sorry. He said, "I'm sorry. I lost my temper. It is a season for Hilsa fish and no one, not even Gopal, can stop anyone from talking about Hilsa fish. Not even for 5 minutes." So the king is feeling sorry for he had shouted at the courtiers And he says, yes, it is a season for Hilsa, and it's very difficult for anyone to stop talking about Hilsa fish. Not even Gopal can do it. He cannot stop anyone talking about a Hilsa fish for even 5 minutes. Then Gopal said, "Oh, I think I could, Your Majesty." See, Gopal also liked taking up challenges. So he told the king, yes, for 5 minutes, I can do it. I can make people talk about other things other than Hilsa. Then let me say you buy a huge Hilsa and bring it to the palace without anyone asking you a word about it. So a challenge was thrown by the king. The king asked Gopal to bring to the palace a huge Hilsa fish without anyone asking about it, talking about it. I accept the challenge, Your Majesty. So Gopal said, yes, I will take up the... So Gopal takes up the challenge. I accept the challenge, Your Majesty. Now, a few days later, what happens? This is in the house of Gopal. Why is your face half shaven? So you can see the picture of Gopal, and he's enjoying himself, looking at the mirror. He's smiling at himself. He has shaven only half his face. So the wife asks, why is your face half shaven? I am dressing up to buy a fish. This is a very strange answer. To buy a fish, you have to have a half-shaven face. But he's doing it. What's the matter with you? Why are you smearing yourself with ash? I told you I'm dressing up to buy a Hilsa fish. So to buy a Hilsa fish, what did Gopal first do? He half shaved his face. Only half his face was shaven. Then again he started smearing, applying ash over the face. Then the wife is almost screaming, listen to me, please. You can't possibly go out in those disgraceful rags. What are you up to? So he started dressing in rags. First, he half shaved his face. Then he smeared ash on the face. And then he dressed himself up in rags. And the wife almost screamed at him, you can't go out like that. That is a very disgraceful dress. You can't wear rags and go out. Torn and tattered dresses, rags, like madmen. How many times must I tell you, woman, I am going out to buy a huge Hilsa fish. So again he reiterated, he told the wife again, how many times do I have to tell you I'm going to buy a big Hilsa fish? And then he walks off, you can see him going. You can see the back of Gopal, and the woman is thinking, ... bubbles. No, it means she is thinking, it's happened to him. He's gone mad. So what does the wife think has happened to Gopal? The wife thinks that Gopal has gone mad. Now Gopal goes out towards the palace after buying Hilsa fish. Let's see. Gopal bought the Hilsa fish and started walking towards the palace. Then there's a small child crying out, Mother, look at the man. Isn't he comical? So he is noticed by a small child. And the small child is saying, doesn't he look funny? Comical means funny. Look at the man. He must be a madman. So people started talking among themselves because it's a very strange sight. Nobody goes out half-shaven face and smeared smeared with ash, and no, this is a very funny sight. And so people started talking about him, saying that this must be a madman. Hush, I think he is a mystic. Another person says that, oh, he must be, he's not an ordinary man. He must be some kind of a spiritual person who can commune with some spirits, mystic. I think he's a mystic. When Gopal reached the court, he stopped on the way. The guard said, what do you want? Gopal replies, I want to see the king. See, the guards cannot recognize him. Okay? The guards cannot recognize him. Gopal says, I want to see the king. You can't see the king. Get away with you. So the guard stops him and said that a madman cannot see the king. Gopal began to dance and sing loudly. So when he was refused admission into the king's palace, Gopal started singing loudly and he danced. Maybe he was trying to attract the attention of other people. And inside the palace, the king heard. Okay? The man is crazy. Throw him out at once. I want to see the king. Let me in. So these are the words the king hears from inside. And the king says, bring that man to me at once. Yes, your majesty. So the king orders that Gopal must be brought inside the man who was shouting and singing and dancing outside must be brought inside the palace. Gopal was brought before the king. It's Gopal. See, the courtiers are talking about Gopal. Nobody saw the fish that he was holding. It's Gopal. The man has lost his mind, say some. Others say, I think it's just one of his crazy jokes. Others doubt that he could go mad so suddenly, and they are thinking that it is a joke, one of the jokes which is played by Gopal. Now, the king says, all right, Gopal, out with it. Why are you dressed up in this ridiculous fashion? So the king asked Gopal why he is dressing in this funny manner, why his dresses are so funny, and why he is dressed in that strange manner. Your Majesty, you seem to have forgotten something. So Gopal reminds the king that the king has forgotten something. The king says, forgotten something? Strangely enough, no one seems to be interested in Hilsa fish today. From the market to the palace, in the court, no one has spoken a word about Hilsa fish. So it is straight. It is right. From the market to the palace, nobody has talked about the Hilsa fish. Everyone was making some comment on the dress and appearance of Gopal. Only then did the king remember the challenge he had thrown to Gopal. Ha ha! Well, Gopal, congratulations! You have achieved the impossible once again. So, Gopal has finally achieved the impossible. What, according to the king, is the impossible that Gopal has achieved? What is that? That the man, Gopal, should be able to bring a big Hilsa fish to the palace without anyone talking about the fish. So, Gopal has won. He took up the challenge and he has won. Now, children, did you enjoy the comic? Well, you have seen the comic strip, you have read it, you have heard it, and you go through the video once again and write down the story in your own words. Write it within 100 words. Do not exceed 100 words. Okay? So that is your homework. Thank you. Thank you, children.